All right, so I think this is going to be a bit of a ramble. Um, I'm going to just make this video, see what it sounds like, what it looks like, and then maybe upload it. I don't know if I'm going to upload it or not because it's kind of like, it's not a sensitive subject, but it's maybe controversial and problematic for people. Um, but essentially, this video is essentially saying that every single person who I've paid to type me has typed me incorrectly. Based on my own self type right now as ESFP/ISFP. I'm not budging on SFP. That part's certain. And I'm leaning ISFP now, but it's like, it's so obvious that it's not really worth arguing or just entertaining counter arguments. The only counter argument is just that, like, oh, well, it doesn't matter that you were highly successful and lauded as an athlete and as a performer actor. And that's just not, if typology is meant to account for those successes in the first quarter of my life, then you have to put two functions there, and those two functions are going to be SE and FI. So, but nobody in the history of Garrett being typed by people online has, for money, one person said ISFP, and maybe he just guessed right, but nobody has gotten anywhere close to that. In fact, people are agreeing on aggregate that I'm NT. People are agreeing like en masse that this guy's an NT, which is just not right based on what I'm seeing right now. And like based on that, I would say like I don't know what is going on with that. I don't know why people are arriving at the same incorrect conclusion, but that happens with groups. They form like bad definitions, bad values, bad concepts, or whatever, and they make bad recommendations or analyses or conclusions. Analyses or conclusions, but I'm not an NT based on what I'm seeing right now. I'm the opposite of an NT. So, and I think people might just be typing based on like vibe or like, oh, this guy seems intellectual or he's smart or whatever. He went to a good school, so he's got to be NT. It's not. I don't think that matters. But yeah, that's a problem, right? Because everybody's paying for these typing services, and I've paid for these typing services, and they've been precisely incorrect. That's not even it. They've agreed on the wrong two functions of NI and TI. Everybody's saying, oh, this guy has NI, which I do. I'm using NI right now to talk about psychology stuff. But this is second quarter, right? But I don't, TI is not in my top four. Let's put it that way. And that's problematic because everybody's seeing it when it's just not there. Everybody's agreeing on my TI, and I can't find evidence of it. I can see evidence of it in my life in terms of like I've worked in scientific positions recently, or just since I graduated from college. Have not enjoyed them. Don't want to do more of them, and I don't plan on doing more of them. But maybe that's what people are seeing, and they're just saying, oh, psychology plus that. That might be it, but if you're just looking at that snapshot, you're not looking at whether or not that aligns with my actual natural interests, which they don't. And that would be useful information for me to know. It would have been useful information for me to know when I was younger. But yeah, I guess I'm making this video to say, like, I don't see a really good reason to pay for typing services if this has been my experience, because everybody's gotten me incorrect. And moreover, it's not that fucking hard to type somebody. It's just not. You look at them in high school, you see what their major extracurricular activities are, and you peg the two functions that those represent. Done. That's what works. That works for me. I look at my high school experience. I was a good athlete. Not even a good athlete. That's not subjectively. I won awards for athletics. I won awards for theater, public speaking, acting, specifically not debate, but acting, theater type stuff, forensics in Midwest states, but whatever. People don't necessarily always have that. Rambling. I have objective receipts, accolades, awards for that stuff, and I forgot what I was saying. I'm not bragging. I'm definitely not bragging. I went to a very small school. I mean, I'm good at that stuff, but like, this is not a brag. This is a point about typology services not potentially being worth the money, especially if they're going to type you upside down. Objective personality, type me NT. I'd give more credit to people who type me as SF, if anybody had, but nobody has. But definitely NF or ST. Kudos, because that's not NT, which is what everybody else is saying. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the message of this is at this. No, the point is that it's easy. It's easy. I already said you probably don't want to pay for this stuff. The second part is like it's not worth $100 for somebody to say, "Hey, what'd you do in high school? Oh, you were an athlete and an actor. Okay, you're an SFP. What are you doing now? You're kind of getting into psychology and not as opposed to like business or management or not analytics stuff. That would be more TI, but more you're not getting into management. Okay, you're an ISFP because you went SFP and then you're doing NI stuff next. So that's first two SFP, third NI. That's it. That's not worth $100. It's not worth $200. It's not worth $50. It's not worth $5. It's just it's not that deep. It's not that deep. I guess that's it because I mean, like if I had to kind of pay my way into this stuff to figure some stuff out, but like paying for typing services, I don't know. Maybe pay to like get somebody's ideas, but even that, it's like it's not worth it. It's just get the ideas for free, which are just already. That's what the collective. Everybody knows what like SE is. Everybody knows what FI is. I asked this guy on this Discord server I'm in, and I was like, I was doing this quarter thing. I was like, okay, what do you think if you had to like break up Arnold Schwarzenegger's life into like the functions? What would you do? He'd say, well, he was doing SE bodybuilding stuff first, FI acting stuff first, TE politics third, and just right off the top, he already knows that. He doesn't know that he knows it, but that's not disrespectful. That's just saying that like this stuff. I mean, the functions are already defined well enough. Like in the collective unconscious, almost of the typology community, you don't need to pay to get typed. You don't need to pay for a class. You don't need to pay. I don't think you need to pay. I don't think this stuff is that. You maybe for coaching. Coaching makes sense because if somebody has experience with coaching, if they've typed people correctly and have gotten results, maybe you can pay for coaching. But the typing is not. That's I can type my family, my nuclear family, like, hey, what'd you do in high school? Okay, that's your first animal. OPS terms, right? That's your first animal because it's two functions most of the time, as far as I can tell. I mean, like my mom, my dad, my brother, they're all SETE, TESE, one of those two, because they're all doing sports and some sort of administrative, executive, enterprising, student government type shit. The exception of my dad, because I don't know what he did, but he definitely did that later. So maybe he had. I sent him a text today, but once I get that answer, I'll have his first two functions. It's not. It's really easy once you just use the stereotypes, and it's helpful because like actually, if you do this whole convoluted thing and you say, oh well, you're like if I go with the ISTP/INFJ typing and ITI, right? Like if I follow that doesn't lead me in a good direction given my previous activity. What I should be doing is capitalizing on the stuff that I've already put hundreds of hours of work into, i.e. basketball, i.e. acting. Let's just say sports and theater to be a bit more vague or general, but it's, that's it. That is it. Because that stuff is empirical, that's behavioral, but it's like, you just use these are archetypes. People say you can't type based on behavior, but like, what do you think personality is? What do you think psychology is? The study of mind and behavior. Personality is the study of consistent patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behavior that repeat over time. Look up the definition in academic psychology, if that's what you're even talking about, which most people aren't. They're just spouting off. So, yeah. I'm a bit heated, I guess, because the money is whatever. It's like I got money, but I didn't need to spend it, and it wasn't worth it because everybody got me wrong on a collective scale. So all in all, my recommendation is like you don't need to pay for typing. Maybe coaching, but yeah, definitely not typing. It's not worth $100. It's not worth $100. It's not worth $50 for somebody to ask you, what did you do in high school? And maybe to follow up, if it's more than two things, what were you best at in high school? And like objectively in terms of like, what did you get accolades for? And if that, I mean, and so maybe I can backtrack a bit, and if it's like really hard, but like it's usually not that hard. I mean, at least in my family, it's not that hard. Everybody's like SE, and then my brother and my mom are for sure SET or TSE, and my dad is SE something. So yeah, I don't think typing is that deep. Coaching might be, but I mean, I think the power of the system is still there. I'm not discounting typology. I'm just saying that it's not worth like the MBTI charging people $200 for a step 2 or whatever it is. It's not it. It's not the move. And like you don't, and the whole idea of the instrument of like of a questionnaire, like they take from academic psychology, and this is not what academic psychology. This isn't academic psychology. This is more psychoanalysis. So taking that principle or that practice from there is not. It's not a good move because it's not that hard to do, and people can just not figure it out themselves. I had to figure this out myself over the course of almost a decade, but that's only because everybody else is just not correct on this stuff in terms of methods, in terms of concepts. Some people are, but people like when you move away from the stereotypes, like lean into the stereotypes. That's the only way I got here. Lean into the stereotypes, because if you don't, then it's like it's just a bunch of convoluted psychobabble, essentially. Yeah. I mean, I got friends in the community that I've paid for typing services for, and they're still, friends, or, I'm still on good terms with them. I hope I'm still on good terms with them, but it's this is not that hard once if you just have the concepts, the definitions, or the patterns, or the stereotypes right, the archetypes right. This is an archetypal system, stereotypical system, and it just works. We already have these names for SE. It's called athletic. It's called outdoorsy. It's called coordinated. We already have words for FI. It's artsy. It's sensitive. It's all there. And people are saying, no, you can't use those because it's not complicated enough or whatever. And that's dumb. Trying to figure out a way to end this. Takeaway. Yeah, you don't need to pay for typing services because this stuff is not that deep once you get the hang of it. That's the chorus. That's the hook to this video. If this was a rap song or a song, is typology is not that hard. It's not worth getting typed. Is not worth. And also, I don't understand how anybody's going to coach you on SE besides say go outside, right? Because it's not about like John Beebe has this idea that like he's integrated all 8 of his functions like completely, and he was like, oh, people who have 4 integrated, they're kind of faking it, but I've got all 8 integrated and I'm the man or whatever. Not his words, but like I'm complete or whatever. But you don't integrate SE without being in shape. You don't integrate SE without being practical and realistic in your physical capabilities and capable in the physical realm. It's not about just like a mental thing and just like exposing yourself to it. It's physical activity, so it's like being in shape and stuff like that. It's not all this other stuff. It's just that. But yeah, like the point that I was making right then is just like you can't really coach somebody on SE unless you are like a coach in basketball or track or soccer or something, because it's not about just like the idea that somebody who knows typology can make somebody master their SE. No. I mean, Kobe Bryant mastered his SE. Michael Jordan mastered his SE and didn't need typology to do it. All these great athletes, SE masters. All these great artists, FI masters. But the idea that typology is going to tell you what you need to know. It's going to point you in the right direction, but you got to figure it out on your own after that, because nobody really knows. Maybe, I mean, like, that's not true, because I'm getting into NI, my third SLI NI arguably right now. And I can, but that's only because I've already put the work in on, like, SE and FI. So I was been doing that for longer than I've been doing typology. And for some reason, I mean, typology, like, that's the thing. Typology isn't even that hard, and I'm seeing that now. And the reason why it probably took me so long to get is because I have, like, NI third, maybe. But regardless, it's just like, yeah, it's not that typology is valuable, but it's not worth paying for. I think that's pretty much the message. Typology is valuable, not really worth paying for, because it's not that hard to type yourself. Something like that. That'll be the title. All right. Hope I didn't make too many enemies with that.